What's going on, and welcome back to another gear comparison. And in this video we're going to be comparing the IDOGEAR back panel pack to the CRYE Precision back panel pack. Now this is one of the older versions of that back panel, but it still does CRYE Precision do justice and all of that, because inherently what you're going to find in this video is this CRYE Precision is a much better product overall compared to the IDOGEAR. But the reason for this video is just to help give you the most information possible, so that way you can make the most well-informed decision as far as how much money you want to spend on the equipment that you want to purchase. So it's really just here to help you, and that's really all it boils down to. So with that, when it comes to these two guys, they are very similar in dimensions. This is actually a little bit closer to the large, extra large version of the CRYE Precision. And they only have one, where this is going to be your small medium. So you can see a little bit of the size comparison. You only have one option versus having two options, small medium or a large extra large, versus it's kind of more of a medium and a large combination. So with that, when it comes to overall materials that are used, this guy is entirely made out of 500 denier Cordura. This guy is made out of that denier Cordura, and then has that little bit of elastic fabric material on the exterior, so that way this will stretch and give where this will not. As far as Velcro goes, there's definitely a little bit of a difference in the feel of them, but I haven't seen really any major differences when it comes down to running the Velcro. They both do a really good job. I know a lot of guys that are running this guy, or this IDOGEAR right now, and that's across law enforcement, conventional military, and special operations, where this is still being used. I'm definitely seeing a few more of these come into play just because of how cost effective they are. So that said, Velcro, no issues with all of that. These zipper pockets on the exterior for your little admin pouch, about the same amount of space. This one clearly is going to be a little bit smaller, but I really wouldn't be putting a whole lot of stuff in this pouch in the first place, so it is what it is. That said, opening this up, when it comes to the interior, this guy's a little bit more worn in. I have noticed that these two blocks of Velcro do give a little bit over time, just because of the opening and closing and all that, so you may feel some wear and tear on those guys. But that aside, you do have your little locking tab on both of these. These snaps feel about the same when you open them up, so there really isn't any major difference with that, but there is a little bit of a difference when it comes to the zippers across the board. CRYE Precisions are going to be just your metal zipper with a little bit of 550 cord, where this guy is just going to have that metal base and then a 550 cord with a heat shrink piece to it. So that's going to be the primary difference with most of the zippers on this guy. That said, what I've also noticed is the zippers on these IDOGEARs are definitely not as nice as the zippers on the CRYE Precision, and that goes for every single zipper. With these CRYE Precision zippers, you do have the plastic for the actual zipper portion, but you have metal ends, or very like robust plastic metal ends, and then you have your metal zipper, where this is just the metal zipper, and then it honestly feels kind of like cheap plastic as far as that end cap goes. And then even looking at just the zipper right here on the side, it definitely does not look as nice as the CRYE Precision. So that is definitely a possible point of failure when it comes to these IDOGEARs. I haven't seen one of these break yet, and I know a lot of guys running them. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like over time when it comes to these, and how they hold up to tactical environments and all of that. With that, the older CRYE Precision doesn't have these MOLLE loops. This IDOGEAR does. This is nice because you can cinch this down if you run shot cord through it, so you can do a little bit as well as attach equipment to it, but it's kind of one of those features. It's give and take. You don't really need it. It's nice to have, but I really haven't found an application for it. That said, interior of your main pocket, there is quite a noticeable difference between the two of these guys. The mesh on the CRYE is much better than the mesh on the IDOGEAR. And then one thing that I am not particularly fond of when it comes to these hydration pack loops is this guy has that little bit of extra length on it, so that hydration pack or bladder has a tendency, or has a possibility, to kind of sag inside of this. to where it may be difficult to get the last couple of sips out of that hydration carrier. Where this guy is going to be sucked up more to the top, elongate that bladder, so that way you're getting everything out of that bladder. So something to think about when it comes to these, especially on the interior. But overall, really not bad when it comes down to it. So closing that up, we'll move to the back side of these guys. So looking at the back side, we have our locking loops for the MOLLE to be able to secure this to the actual MOLLE on the plate carrier. These guys, definitely better material when it comes to these locking loops. The little clasps, no issues there. They seem to be the exact same on the back side as well. But you can definitely tell a difference in the material for these guys. But they're still pretty well made. They do have that little piece of plastic on the interior, just like these ones have that Tegris on the interior to help give it that rigidity to help with locking everything into the plate carrier. So that is nice that has been crossed over from the CRYE to the IDOGEAR. And then both of these have that internal pocket that you can see here that you can throw equipment in, and then they both extend out to be able to run breaching tools and other mission essential equipment that you may need to fully protect and encase. So with that, kind of close it up from there. Both good products. I know guys that are running both. They love both. They don't have any issues with them. I do think with this guy, there is a greater tendency for some of the stitching to blow out due to the width of the stitching compared to the CRYE Precision. The stitches on this are much tighter and closer together. These guys are a little bit wider, and I've noticed with a lot of companies that do stuff like that, once one of those stitches gets cut, this whole entire thing kind of just like opens and spreads apart. So food for thought when it comes down to it. But with that, if you guys have any questions on these products and are curious about how they perform over time, please feel free, leave a comment. We will help you out in any way that we can. And with that, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.